Thank you folks for coming. I'll read the report as well. I know you have it in your hand, and please answer any questions you might have about the planning board deliberations. The Chatham County Planning Board on July 12 voted to recommend approval of the Commissioner initiative to proceed with countywide zoning for the 388 square miles that are currently unzoned. The vote was 7 in favor and 4 against, and you've already heard Mr. Bach's minority report. Prior to the vote on July 12th, each planning board member was given an opportunity to present their views. All views were considered. Although the planning board recommendation represents a mixed vote, it is important to say that this reflects legitimate differences in opinion regarding the best course of action for the future of Chatham County. There are no bad actors here in my mind. The planning board has been deliberating on the zoning issue for 18 months. And during that 18-month period, we have been discussing the issue of full countywide zoning at each of those intervals as one of the possible options. So this is not something we just did in a 1-hour period. These deliberations included at least 4 planning board meetings and 5 meetings of a subcommittee established to examine different zoning options. Public comments were received at all of these meetings, including the July 12, 2016 meeting, when we received comments from 20 people. All comments were considered along with the comments received at the formal public hearing held on June 6th and at previous commissioner meetings when you received them during the public input session of your meetings. The following points, and all 10 points, represent the reasons expressed by the planning board members who voted in the majority. The views of those voting in the minority are expressed in their minority report. Each member of the majority does not necessarily agree with all the reasons stated here, but they're in agreement with most of them. First, 7 of the 8 counties that border Chatham County are fully zoned. The other county has a rigorous heavy industry ordinance, that's Alamance County, that is countywide. This means that activities that might not be allowed in neighboring counties will have free rein to come to Chatham. Recently, 12 mining operations are seeking permits to come here. Citizens in the unzoned area will have little or no control over it. The same problems could arise for sexually oriented businesses, gun ranges, and other activities often considered undesirable. 2, the growth rate of Chatham is the second fastest in North Carolina during the last year. All other fast-growing counties in North Carolina are fully zoned. Planning is essential in these fast-growing counties. It would be irresponsible to let growth proceed randomly without local control, as it will cause inevitable traffic problems, sprawl, environmental problems, and school overcrowding. 3, the ordinance that established the Chatham County Planning Board states that a major role of the Planning Board is to advise the commissioners on growth issues and provide sound management and planning principles to you. Given our growth pressures, it would be difficult to fulfill our charter without countywide zoning. 4, agriculture is a centerpiece of Chatham County, and those engaged in farming activities need protections. It is important to note that farming operations, as Mr. Sullivan said, and the accessory businesses associated with the farming operations are exempt from zoning regulations because of state law. Planning board members voting in the majority fully support agricultural and timbering exemptions from zoning. 5, economic development is critical to the future of Chatham County, especially in light of the fact that citizens often have to travel outside the county to get good jobs. Zoning is needed to help lure companies with good-paying jobs to Chatham County. Employers want to know what will be next to them, and their employees who work there want to live in a place where they have some say over the growth that is occurring next to them. Studies are available that show that economic development is clearly enhanced in zoned areas. 6, the Chatham County megasite in western Chatham offers great potential for transforming economic development opportunities in that part of the county. The chance that a large company with good-paying jobs coming to the megasite would be greatly enhanced by zoning. 7. Chatham Park is coming to Chatham County, and it alone will nearly double our population and greatly accelerate our current high growth rate. It would be irresponsible of Chatham County government not to enact countywide zoning so that citizens are protected and empowered to prevent the potentially adverse effects of rapid growth and at the same time maximize the benefits of a growing and vibrant county. Chatham County is blessed with an abundance of natural resources, 3 beautiful rivers, a much appreciated rural environment, and Jordan Lake. Development, fracking for natural gas, coal ash landfills, other activities represent significant potential threats to our natural environment. Our natural resources and our rural agricultural heritage must be protected. Countywide zoning helps to provide the tools necessary for these protections. 9, there often is very little opportunity for citizen input when development occurs in the unzoned part of the county. With zoning, neighbors can participate in development decisions and know what kinds of developments are being proposed next to them so that they can choose whether or not to oppose or support those developments. 10, the jurisdictions of Pittsboro and Siler City and the Cary part of Chatham are fully zoned. In the case of Siler City, zoning ends at the border of their jurisdiction. For Pittsboro, the border to the west and in part the south is unzoned. While it is clear that planning issues and ordinances are different in towns compared to the county, it makes sense that planning and zoning regulations between those jurisdictions are compatible, not confusing, nor counterproductive. Countywide zoning will help the towns and the county to work together to manage growth in a mutually beneficial manner. We also discussed 4 other issues, and Mr. Sullivan briefly mentioned those. The first one, and perhaps the most significant one, is the one regarding existing businesses. If R1, R5 was adopted throughout the county, these businesses, and there are roughly, I think, 300 of them, is that correct, Jason? Roughly 300 would become non-conforming, which means they would be allowed to expand, but not allowed to change the nature of their business. And the planning board thought that it would be advisable to give greater flexibility to those existing businesses so they are in no way harmed by the enactment of zoning in Chatham County for the whole county. So we voted 11-0, as opposed to our 7-4 minority vote, to let businesses choose whether or not they want to be non-conforming or zoned according to their current use. You know, what use best fits their current business activity. And it seems to me that this is a way of encouraging business development in the county and making sure that those businesses are not harmed. The second issue related to the lighting ordinance, and that's something you would have to deal with if zoning was enacted. The lighting ordinance would have to be repealed because it would become superfluous once zoning is enacted for the full county, because we already have all the elements of the lighting ordinance in the zoning ordinance itself. So you would have to repeal the lighting ordinance as part of the zoning action for the whole county. Another issue was the issue with Jordan Lake, and that's been discussed, and I think I don't need to go into it in much more detail, but we basically said that R1 would be inappropriate in an environmentally sensitive area if for some unlikely reason, Mr. Petty brought up the point that sometimes the unlikely reasons happen that the government lets go of the land, that it would make sense to have this zone so it wouldn't be unzoned. But R1 would be inappropriate. R5, R10 would be far better. We voted to extend to R5 because that was the only option that was available to us. But we always also encourage you, as was stated earlier, to look at a zoning classification, whether it be R10 or something else that would be more appropriate for that unzoned land in case the Army Corps sold it, relinquished control of it. The other issue related to the sexually oriented businesses. State law requires every county to have a place where sexually oriented business can operate. Right now, they're allowed to operate in the unzoned part of the county. But if the full county was zoned, we would have to find a place where they could potentially operate. What the planning board has recommended is that that be allowed in the heavy industrial zoned areas. And that's the extent of my report. Pleased to answer any questions you might have.
Colleagues, any questions?